Hey YouTube, how are you guys doing? I'm here because I decided to make a video for the people who have subscribed to my channel based off of me being a nurse and not off of whatever I wanted to ramble on about. So I decided to make a quick NCLEX kind of question answering because I've gotten a lot of questions about that. And also the struggles, the good, the bad of being a new nurse. I see a lot of people on here on YouTube, especially when I was studying for my NCLEX, and everything was so happy-go-lucky. Oh, I passed on the first time. It wasn't that bad. I found a job in 2 days. My first year was great. And I just be like, that is not everybody's reality, that everything's just smooth sailing and everything's, the greatest thing since sliced bread in the nursing world. It's not at all. And I'm not going to say too much because I don't want to get fired, but I will, let y'all in on a little something that happened to me in my first year. I'm still in my first year, but in my process of my first year, things that have come across and have, developed that I didn't think was going to happen. So anyways, back to NCLEX. So I've gotten some questions about scores I got on my tests and how I studied, and I guess maybe I really didn't explain it that well previously. I don't know. But I'm going to do a quick recap. I did do Kaplan. I did do the Hearst review. And I did some other, pretty much everything else under the sun. And what I decided on was the best was doing the Hearst review first. And I want to reiterate this. If you do any other reviews, if you're doing index cards, if you're doing Hearst review, if you're doing Saunders book, if you're doing NCLEX 4000, or so many review materials, things out there. I don't remember them all because that was a year ago. But if you're going to do that and you decide you want to do Kaplan, my biggest advice to everyone is do Kaplan last. Do not try to do Kaplan first and then go review other stuff, because Kaplan is the closest thing to that test you are going to find, and you don't want to get halfway through and use up all your questions, because if you do the whole thing, do the video questions, you do the word, what are they called? The question churners, and you do like that 1,500 question bank thing or whatever, you probably get maybe close to 3,000 questions, which is really not a lot. It's really not. Maybe 2,500, somewhere around there, but it's really not a lot. I promise you it's not. So I would save those to the end. Study as much content as you possibly can. Learn all your lab values. Learn every hyper and hypo you need to learn. Do every review. And then when you feel like, oh, I got all my content down, I got this, no problem, start doing Kaplan. Now, if you start doing Kaplan and your test scores is in the 30s and 40s, then stop, sit back, go back to your content, learn all that stuff, or at least learn why you're getting them wrong, and be like, is it because I'm not understanding what they're asking me, or is it because I'm not even understanding what these diseases and procedures are? If it's you don't understand what the procedures and diseases and all that stuff is, then go back and study your content. If it's you don't understand how they want you to answer your questions, which does happen, because really you're playing a mind game with the NCLEX lady, and that's pretty much all it is. You have to figure out how they think, not how reality is, because NCLEX is not reality, and NCLEX is not what you did in school. So that's what I would do. That's how I did it. And I would suggest, this is my biggest suggestion as far as what Kaplan goes, if your scores are not up to par, do not go take the test. That's all I have to say. If they are not, if you're in the 30s and 40s, don't take the test and be like, well, I finished the program, I should be okay. No, no, no. No, 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 no. Get your scores up to par and then go take the test. That's all I can tell you. That's the only way you can kind of gauge if you're ready, because NCLEX is a guessing game. That's really all it is. Now, granted, I don't think the question bank is that huge, because I've taken the test 3 times, as some of you may have known, and I've had some repeat questions. So I would just say, so you don't end up in my boat where you're taking it 50,000 times, just make sure you're ready. And sometimes you don't know that you're ready or if you're not, because there's really nothing nobody tells you is like, this is the definite way. Read this book, you're definitely going to pass. There's nothing like that. And it sucks. You're just kind of always winging it when you're trying to take the NCLEX. But, you know, clearly people have passed it and will pass it, and you will pass it too. Whether it's your first time or your fifth time, you're going to pass it. It's going to happen. You're meant to be a nurse. That's the end of it, done deal. So, I'm done with my suggestions with NCLEX. If you have any questions about it, I will try my best to answer what I can, although I took it a year ago. So it is a different version out now. Okay, so into the life of a new nurse and what happened after I passed my NCLEX. So I was geeked. I passed it. I did the little trick, the little pop-up trick. I was like, woo, I passed. Hey, thank you, Jesus. Okay, so I moved to a different state. And I moved to a pretty big city. Okay, so it was told to me, and it has been this thing for years, that the nursing market, there's a shortage. Everybody needs nurses. Everybody's hiring. It's going to be so easy for you to get a job. That is just what people think. But the reality is it's not as easy as it used to be. Okay, especially if you're in a big city. So it's almost like pharmacy, like 2004, 2005. That whole becoming a pharmacist movement was big. Like, they were giving them new cars. Everybody who went to pharmacy school, it was just a big thing to do that. And now, not so much. Not that you can't get a job as a pharmacist, but they're really trying to get rid of pharmacists, which really sucks, because people spend, like I had, $250,000 on going to pharmacy school, and they can't even find a job. So, because it just got flooded. Everybody was going into pharmacy, and now it's flooded, and, you know, it's not a big, y'all know what I'm saying. It's been a long day. Y'all know what I'm saying. So anyways, so I passed my NCLEX. 3 days later, I packed my stuff and moved to a different city. So I was originally in Minneapolis, and I left. And I was told the market in the city I was in was just, oh, it's so many jobs. It's so many openings, and everybody's saying, oh, it's going to be so easy for you to get a job. And I'm like, yeah, it sure is. No, it was not. Let me tell you. Especially in bigger cities, they want experience. I applied for every hospital in the city. And I applied for nursing homes. I mean, I was not picky on positions. I wasn't like, I just want to work on this unit. I was like, I just want to get my foot in the door. I don't care where you put me. Just put me in somewhere. So I applied to every hospital. I would guesstimate probably about 600 positions I applied for. That's a lot. So, and nobody was calling me back. Now, that really blew my mind, because I'm like, wait a minute, you have all these openings and nobody wanted to have anything to do with me. So I would get emails from companies and be like, you know, we just want you to have a year's experience. And I'm just like, well, how are you supposed to get experience if you're not hiring? Hello, like, this is not equaling out. This doesn't make sense. I need experience, but nobody's hiring. So how do you get experience? I don't know. So I was here for months, months, without anybody calling or anything like that. And I say that to say, network as much as you can, because, or work as a PCA. If you are a nurse that is still, not a nurse, but a student who is still in school, I would become a CNA. At least for like 6 months, just so you can get into a hospital, because they're really, really particular now. And it's kind of like, if you don't know nobody or you didn't do like your clinicals at that hospital, they're not really trying to have you, honestly. And especially if you're trying to up and move and all this little stuff. It is a rough market, okay? Yes, there is a shortage, but they're not bending on that shortage just because they need people. They will be stern, and they want experience at the end of the day. So I set it for months, and out of like the 600 apps, the next year had rolled around, I probably got 2 phone calls on my own that asked for interviews. So I don't even know if I would have got the job. It was just the interview. And I just happened to know somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody, kind of helped me out in getting the job I currently have now, which is at a wonderful, very prestigious hospital. So I'm very excited to be working there. But it took forever to get in the door somewhere. Like I sat in this city for months. And so I just want people to have a realization that my computer always freezes. Hurts me. But anyways, so I just want people to have a realization that it's not what it used to be. It used to be 5-10 years ago, before you even walked out of the nursing school door, you weren't even signed up to take your boards. They was hiring you. Now it's like, you got experience, go get a year and come back kind of thing. And I'm not knocking if you work in a nursing home or you have to start off in a nursing home. I have friends who started off in a nursing home and they moved to a hospital. And if that's what you got to do, then do that. I would have done it, but even the nursing homes wasn't hiring me. Like, my first job, I worked for hospice for like some agency. And it was very underpaid, and I did not like going into people's houses because you don't know what you get in people's houses sometimes. That's another story for another day. But I did that for maybe about a month, and then I, got an interview for the job I currently have now. So that was my job hunt. It was not really that easy as I expected. I expected it. I mean, when I was in school, I just heard all great things, and it's going to be awesome, and they're going to want you, and then that ain't what happened. Mind you, I will tell you, I do have an associate's in nursing. So one hospital did tell me, okay, we do want you to have a bachelor's. Granted, I do have another bachelor's in psychology, and I do have my master's in business. So I'm not stupid, okay? I'm not really behind the curve. I just went a shorter route to do things. So, anyways, so being in nursing now. So, being a new grad, and I work on a critical care floor, my patients are very critical. And it is hard being a new grad. And you are thrown into such a difficult unit. Now, I hear some people be like, I want something fast paced. I want that. It don't matter to me. It wasn't that deep to be fast paced or anything. Like, I'm not that type. I can, do slow pace all the time. You go too fast, you might run into a wall. That's all I'm saying. So, I think it was difficult. I had like 9 preceptors for no reason. And, when you change preceptors, you always start over. My orientation was probably the longest in history, and I felt like the slowest person in the world. And me, I've never been in a position where I've been the one not knowing anything, or not being the best at it. And, if I wasn't the best, I wasn't even trying, So this time when I'm actually trying to be the best at work and I suck at it, and, you get your orientation extended, you're getting extra preceptors, and it just kind of messes with your demeanor and self-esteem a little bit. So I love the place I work. I absolutely love it. It was just really hard for me to get acclimated to it. I didn't have a bubbly story where it was just great and dandy, and I just kind of got in the door and knew everything. Like, no, that is not what happened. I really, really struggled. And so, so much that and the myth of nurses eating their young is true. It does happen. I'm not going to go into detail because I still work at the places I work at. But it is true, and not just with me. I've seen it with other people and friends of mine at the same different hospitals and the same place where, you know, you have older nurses and they just kind of expect you to know right now, like, why aren't you getting this? And I'm like, because I ain't been doing this for 15 years. So what do you expect? You know what I'm saying? But, you know, it's a learning experience. And I honestly thank God that he uses this time to just polish you and make you better. And that's all it did, was polish me and make me a better person. I know that's very cliche and boring, but that is the reality. So just let you know, if that does happen, it does happen. Nurses do eat their young, to the point on my 4th day on the floor, I was crying. Like, it was too much. I've had friends, I mean, I can't name one of my friends who did not say I had a breakdown. Sometimes it's just overwhelming. None of them work on a med surg floor. Some of them work in ER. Some of them work on, you know, cancer units, whatever it may be. But sometimes it is rough. Sometimes your first year is rough. Sometimes it's not bubbly and sunshine. Now, that does not mean you walk around and get down and think that, oh, I'm about to go into nursing and it's about to suck. Not at all. But I just feel like I hear a lot of positive, great stories. And not that my story is terrible, because it's not. It's just a situation that happened. And I hear a lot of people who are just like, this happened, it was great. And I just want people to know there are other things that do happen when you know, trying to be a nurse, trying to get in the game and be productive member of society and stuff like that. So I just hope everybody well. I hope the students in school, my advice to you, become a CNA or work as a secretary or become a janitor at the hospital. Whatever you got to do, that is my suggestion. Don't fall for the hype that it's a big shortage. It is, but they ain't that desperate. They're not that desperate like they used to be. So it's being flooded. You know, the market is really being flooded. Everybody's going back to school. Everybody's trying to become a nurse or something in the medical field. So my advice to students is go work for that hospital, volunteer, whatever you have to do. For those of you who are studying for your tests, make sure you're ready. Judge your readiness appropriately. Those who have failed it, keep the faith alive. You are meant to be a nurse. Don't let nobody tell you are not. I know I doubted it when I failed mine. So just know that that is your path and that is where you're supposed to go, and that this delay is only good for you. That it's not trying to tear you down. It is preparing you for what is to come, and maybe you need to be put on pause for 5 minutes so that everything else can get ready for you once you get there. You know, I know for me, if I would have just passed the first time, it would have been a hot mess. Things just we ain't gonna go into that. But anyway, so for those new grads like myself, hey, welcome to the club. It's nice to be here. And, you know, whether you have a good or a bad experience or just a learning experience, you know, just be the best nurse you can be. Remember, your goal in mind is patient care and making sure your patients are taken care of and that you're doing your absolute best regardless what the situation is. So if anybody has any questions for me, I mean, I'm sure you don't. I've just been on here rambling for like 20 minutes. But if you have any questions, let me know. I have no problem with answering them or sharing stories. I just know I've gotten some emails about certain things, and I just wanted to let you know, my subscribers who are here for my nursing you know, information, just know that I still know you're there, and if you guys want me to talk about anything, I have no problem with it. So other than that, I hope you guys the best, and you know, good luck, future and present nurses, y'all.